How's it going? So, I've kind of gone off the deep end when it comes to numbers for flying, and I wanted to show you guys what I've been working on and kind of what I see behind it and possibly what I see as its potential. We fly and it's a lot of fun, but flying without times or without ranking or without an idea of where we're at is like watching a baseball game without a score. So this allows us to keep track of scores like Rich has been doing for the past couple seasons. I like to incorporate this into kind of the way we score keep. It also has the potential while doing this to do scorekeeping in real time at a field. Plus, we could possibly see scores in real time as we're competing, which is kind of cool. In addition to that, we can see what our performance is like round by round over the course of basically an entire season. So without further ado, I'm going to show you guys what this looks like. So this is my main score sheet. This is for Unlimited right now. This is from the 2023 season. I took all of Rich's score information and I incorporated that in. I also did some kind of not interpolation, but a little diving into statistics here. So this is what the entire season for Unlimited is. And I'm sure it's very difficult to see because you guys are probably using a small screen. I'm currently using about a 24-inch 2K monitor. So we're going to zoom in and see what all the numbers look like. So this is round one. Excuse me. This is round one in the RES. Round one Unlimited last year. And you can see it flight by flight. So round one, this is the flying time. I'll zoom in a little closer here. This is the flying time. This is the landing score. And this is the score. Up to this is information I've gotten from Rich, which has come off the scorecards. I don't know how to work with numbers. I should say I don't know how to work with times when it comes to working them on a spreadsheet. On a spreadsheet, it comes in this way from Rich, 10 minutes and 1 second. I prefer to break it down into seconds and then work with the seconds because we're not scoring on minutes, we're scoring on seconds. So this is where I've started to work. I'll take the time and I'll break it into minutes and seconds, and then I'll break it into, break it into a number score right here. So basically you take, you take 10 minutes. I'll show you this. You take 10 minutes and you multiply the 10 minutes by 60, and then you add the second. And that's where we come up with this. The problem is we have a time penalty for this particular flyer because he went over by 1 second. And so we're going to take his score right here. Hopefully you guys can see this. I'll zoom in a little closer. We're going to take his score right here, which is 10:01, 6:01 in seconds. And we're going to give him a 2-second penalty. And the reason why we have to give him a 2-second penalty is because really it's 600 minus 1 would be the adjusted score. But in order to do that on this spreadsheet and do it properly, you have to give him a double that. And so you have to give him a not a 2-second penalty, but you have to adjust it accordingly so it'll come out to a good number. So this is his adjusted time right here. Let me see. We flew 4 rounds that day. So this is the first round. This is the second round. This is the third round. And then this is the fourth round. After we're done with the rounds, we'll come over here into the final stage where we get our raw score. These are raw scores, again, I got from Rich. So there's been no math on my side with this. And this is the normalized. So what we do then is we take flyers per, let me see, I'm not sure how we get that in there. That's another number I'm working on. We can then start kind of assessing the data and kind of going into a statistical analysis of it. So right here we have landing score. So this guy, Bob G, had an average landing score that day of 66. Is that right? That seems a little low for him. Let me see. Let's go back and see what happened. So we have a landing score of, wow, that's what happened. That's a 0 in round 4. And then we come back here and see we did a 78 in round 3. And then an 89 in round 2. And a 97 in round 1. That's what happened. So that's why he has an average of 66 for the contest. Not his best contest, but we're going to let that one go. So landing score, an average landing score of 66. We also have I'm sorry, that's the full flight time then. Wait a minute. Yeah, I'm still working this out. Oh, that's his average flight time. And this would be his full flight time in seconds. So, I haven't really gotten this out from seconds to minutes, but a full flight, 10 minutes would be 600 seconds. And so seeing that he's pretty close to 600 or fairly close to 600, that's a pretty long flight. And you guys can do the math at home. And in the future, we can work that out actually here. Average flight. So we're going to go equals this divided by 60. And then now we see 8.9 minutes would be his average flight time for that day. Yeah, average flight time in minutes. So we can actually move that over here to minutes. Minutes and seconds. So you can see his average landing score here, and then you can also see his percentage perfect. So up here, you can probably barely see it. Percentage perfect would be a full score for 4 rounds, which would be 700 would be a perfect score times 4, so at 2,800. So that's his score right here, which was 2390 divided by 2,800, which would be 85. And so we get a percentage perfect for his day of 85, which is actually pretty good because he beats the average of 64. Then we can kind of go and see what an average flight for that day was. So 6.8 minutes would be an average flight. So we take all the flights, all the flight times, and we divide it by the number of sorties or the number of flights, and then we get an average flight time. Here's our average landing. And again, we take the average of all these and we have an average landing. So that's what one contest looks like statistically. The question is then, what is an average year? How many minutes do we fly over the course of a year? How many flights do we fly over the course of the year? Who did good one contest and bad another? If someone does really good the first contest, can you beat them progressively in the season? These are all questions that we ask ourselves a lot of the times when we go out to the field and fly against someone else. I don't think we've had a good way of answering these questions statistically kind of up until this. And this is one of the reasons why I did this week. We're getting ready to start our 2024 season. And so I wanted to do a recap of 2023 and look at what that looks like. What does that look like in terms of how many flights do we fly, and in terms of total flight time, all the flights in contest for our entire season? How many people do we have participating per contest, per class? How many people do we have in particular classes? What's average? What's above average? And so these numbers help me break this down so I can tell the story of the club on the website, which I've never seen before. which is, I think, pretty cool. So we took this season, and this is the entire 2023 season for unlimited, ALES, zoom back, RES, 2 meter, and DLG. DLG is kind of a mad dog. So we take all this information and we answer a couple. We take all this information and we answer a couple questions. One of them is, how many flights do we do for a particular class? So unlimited, what we did is we took the where is it? We took the page total of the number of flights from unlimited. Here it is, 129 flights, which comes out of the total for, you click on this, you can actually see it comes out of the total number of sorties for the entire season. So we take this information here and we jump this information over to a master sheet. So this is the number of flights for limited, RES, 2 meter, hand launch, which seems excessive, but at the same time, these are 3-minute flights, and then ALES. Then we have a total flight time for minutes, and then we have minutes here, and we break the minutes down to hours, the hours here, and then finally for days for the entire season, which is pretty cool. So we flew for 58 hours and 85 minutes, which doesn't really mean much to us, but about 2.5 days of total flight time in competition. That's what we did last year. And we have all this here. And you guys have the spreadsheet, but I'll just go through this real quick. Flyers high and low. Unlimited saw the most number of flyers at 9 on one contest, and then the low of 5. On the flip side, I know we're asking the question, how many people fly ALES? ALES, biggest contest of the year was 7, and the smallest contest of the year was 4. Unfortunately, we see 2 meter here, and 2 meter is something that kind of lagged behind last year. Flyers high is 4, flyers low is 3. But we know that to be false because we did have several contests where we didn't have enough people to compete. And then we can break this down. Average flight time. This is average flight time per class for the entire season. This is average percentage perfect, high percentage perfect for one contest. That's kind of phenomenal. And then we have average percentage perfect for the entire year. Percentage perfect only works for the TD contests, which we see right here. So this is kind of the start. And I know this is probably insane for me even to say this is just the start of this. But the questions are, once we have this information, once we have these numbers, then we can start asking questions of the data and getting answers. So we're going to back up here and we're going to go into what I call my lab. So what we did is we took an unlimited contest and we asked the question round by round, what does this look like? The problem with looking at numbers is that the numbers, it's not like the numbers lie to us, but more likely the numbers don't tell us the story in a way where it's easy for us to understand. So we have graphs and charts. I keep looking at my monitor up on top here. I've got a monitor on top of my camera and I'm not looking at the camera here. So we have graphs and charts. This is a graph for April unlimited round by round. You can see this guy, he started off with a pretty good flight, and then he just ran away with it. You see second place here, coming here, and then you can see what happens here there's, let me see. Second place kind of did their own thing. Third place had a bad second flight and they could have lost it. But you see also here, this is the competition for fourth place. The competition for fourth place was won in the fourth round. So these are things we can see with this. If we scroll down here, we have a second contest, and that's not really correct right there. So one question is, and this is what this answer is what does it look like? What does the contest look like as a whole when we look at the numbers? The next question is, what does a season look like in the same way? And again, this is something that we see it on paper in terms of numbers, but I don't think we've seen this before. So this is probably the most competitive class we have. I'm trying to get this to work here. This is the most competitive class we have, and it continues to be the most competitive and most kind of sought after. So this is the fight last year for unlimited class. You can see my dad, Bob G. He's Bob Gill. I'll just say this because it's an internal video. He was the winner, but you can see he lost the first contest, and then he lost the first contest, and then I forgot exactly what happened here. But he went on to, he lost the first contest. He won the second. He didn't so well so in the third, and then his competition kind of dropped off, and then he ran away with the season. There's also this kind of drop right here, and the drop right here is what happens when we have scores that track the entire season, and then we drop the two worst scores in this case because we had 6 contests last year. So that's what happened here. The question is, who gets a bump on the drop and who loses out on the drop? So Bob was ahead, and Bob had a really good season, but Dave Quist came closest to him, followed by Bill, and then I trailed behind those guys. My problem is I had kind of above average flying, but it wasn't enough to beat Robert. Robert flew, I believe it was 3 contests where I scored for 4 contests, but my 4 contest total didn't beat Robert's, was not enough to overcome Robert's 3 contests. And as we see barely by the numbers here, he ended up beating me by 18 points. So that's the drop. The drop, as you can see, really only affected the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flyers for various reasons. And if you look into the individual numbers right here, you can kind of see what happened. These guys right here, Rich, Larry, Wayne, and John, they didn't come out for the first 2 contests. And you can see gaps the information here. I think I have this correctly. We'll see if this changes it here. I think they're all incorporated anyway. They come off of a different sheet. Then we look at RES, and RES is sort of the same thing, but you can see this happens again. This is kind of a cool thing, sort of. The places changed between second place changed because of the drop. So you can see this right here. You can also see that it was a pretty tight competition after the first contest. Well, pretty tight for second place, third place. But you can also see that the person ended up finishing in second place kind of ran away the first 2 contests and held it really the first 3 contests until July, where the change happened, and then Bob runs away with it. But you can also see again what happens when the drop comes in. You can also see the point spread between kind of a middle of the pack here and the top of the pack here. It's difficult to understand what the numbers mean unless we see them in a graph or a chart. Man, I'm sounding like a nerd. Anyway. So these are the questions that I've started asking and trying to work on the spreadsheets. And I forgot what this is. This is April Unlimited. Actually, we'll just kind of dive into this real quick. We can kind of, again, see what happened in April. So to most of us, these numbers really don't mean a lot. And this analysis really doesn't mean a lot. It's cool to see total numbers of flights for the season and total flight time for the entire season. But some of us might like seeing how close we are or how far away we are from second or third or maybe even first place in terms of a graph. What I really want to demonstrate is our ability to do this in real time on a contest day. We watch a baseball game, and a baseball game is really nothing more than watching people run around the field, but also watching a scoreboard that carries a live statistical analysis of their contest. So I haven't played with this yet. Let's see. And let's just ask the question, what if Bob did fly a contest in June and ended up winning it? And you can see right here, his numbers went up a lot higher. If we back up a little bit here, and we can see this again, we'll take this out and make this 0. And we should see, yep, we see the chart change. Again, we're going to add in he winning the flight, and you can see it changes the whole thing in real time. If we were to have, we could do this at the field if we really wanted to. We could have like a grade school kid come out and grab scorecards, or not grab them, but look at the scorecard and write information down, and we could have a real-time graph with contest on there. Plus, what I'd like to do with the website this year is I'd like to have a graph like this, in which I will have a graph like this, which will show real-time how we're doing in terms of the last contests and us against competitors in the season. Anyway, I'm going to email this spreadsheet out to you guys, both the lab and the season spreadsheet, as well as a couple pictures of these, so you guys can see these things. And if you guys have interest in this, you guys can play. If you do start playing with this, let me know what you guys are doing, and I can incorporate that information into telling the story of our club and the 2024 season on the website. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Thanks.